In a reunion interview, one of the Friends cast finally cracked. We weren't all friends behind those cameras. Fans flooded Twitter in minutes, demanding names, guessing alliances, rewatching every old episode for clues. But what really happened on that set from 1994 to 2004, and who secretly couldn't stand who? But before we go on with our video, we have a small favor to ask. Most people watch without subscribing, and honestly, we get it. But if you like our videos and want to see more, then one click makes all the difference. It costs nothing, but it helps us keep these stories alive. So if you're with us, hit that subscribe button. Thanks. Now let's get back to our video. It began with a single offhand comment in 2023. During a reunion podcast, one cast member smiled and said, "We weren't all friends behind those cameras." That one line cracked open decades of silence. Within hours, headlines exploded. "The perfect sitcom that hit a war," screamed entertainment blogs. Fans rewatched episodes frame by frame, dissecting every glance, every laugh, every hug that might have been fake. Insiders started whispering about cold lunches, separate dressing rooms, and years of politeness stretched too thin. By the time the reunion aired, online threads had already chosen sides. Some defended them as family. Others called it Hollywood hypocrisy. Behind that glossy Central Perk illusion was tension that aged like unspoken guilt. Fame turned private discomfort into million-dollar pressure. Each cast member built their own wall, jokes on one side, grudges on the other, and when one finally spoke, the silence felt louder than ever. What made those hidden rivalries start? And who held the most resentment? The answer began with two women who smiled for the cameras but shared a quiet, razor-sharp rivalry. In the early years, the spotlight didn't shine equally. By season 2, Jennifer Aniston had become the breakout. Hair trends, magazine covers, and constant tabloid attention. Courtney Cox, once the show's biggest name, suddenly felt sidelined. Crew members recalled the energy shift. Courtney gave notes on wardrobe and delivery, stepping into a leadership role Jennifer preferred freedom. No corrections, no coaching. It turned rehearsals into a power dance. Makeup artists claimed they requested separate chair times. Assistant directors noticed how they'd laugh together in front of the audience, then part ways without a word once the applause ended. In 1997, one insider described it perfectly. They respected each other, but you could feel the current underneath. That tension shaped every group photo and every press junket. Years later, when asked about those days, Jennifer called Courtney the glue, while Courtney smiled and said, "Jen got all the attention." That sentence said everything. And beneath that polite praise hid the show's first real divide, one that would spread fast through the rest of the cast. But what happened when that rivalry spilled into the guys' friendship? It started with two Matts and one silent standoff. By season 5, the Friends guys had a bond that looked perfect. 3 brothers cracking jokes, sharing sets, and raising the show's energy. But between Matthew Perry and Matt LeBlanc, the vibe soured fast. Matthew's comedy was sharp, calculated, driven by timing. Matt's came from instinct. When the writers praised Matthew's precision, Matt felt overshadowed. One insider later said, "They didn't compete for laughs. They competed for rhythm." Rehearsals turned quiet. Table reads required producer intervention after one too many sarcastic comments. Some crew recalled rotating seats to prevent side conversations that turned into cold stares. By 1999, the press sensed something. Matt appeared in interviews solo more often, while Matthew buried himself in scripts. One assistant remembered him saying, "He goes off script. I can't work like that." Still, when the cameras rolled, they hit perfect chemistry. Chandler and Joey never missed a beat. That's the irony. Their best performances came from tension they refused to acknowledge. And when producers tried to cool things off, they hit another wall. One man who took the whole show far too seriously. David Schwimmer entered Friends with theater discipline. He came from stage work, trained in Chicago, obsessed with details. Every word mattered, every pause planned. But on a set built for laughter, that intensity clashed hard. Directors recall endless retakes over line delivery. Some found it admirable, others called it exhausting. Matthew once joked mid-scene, "We're doing Friends, not Hamlet." The laughter cut deep. Jennifer often rolled her eyes during debates. "He overthinks everything," an insider remembered her saying. Crew reports suggest David's need for perfection created friction in long shooting nights, sometimes pushing tapings past midnight. Still, his dedication gave Ross real depth, the awkward, lovable guy who became a cultural icon. Yet off-screen, that same intensity made colleagues tread carefully. He'd walk off to reset, silent for hours. By season 8, the gap was emotional, not professional. David saw Friends as an art form. Others saw it as a paycheck and family routine. That gap shaped every creative decision to come. But tension feeds tension. And one cast member, tired of being dismissed, finally reached her breaking point on set. She was the last person anyone expected to walk off. By season 4, Lisa Kudrow had built Phoebe Buffay into one of television's most original characters. But behind that charm, she felt worn down by the chaos around her. The men, Matthew, Matt, and David, often improvised. Their ad-libs kept scenes alive but threw off her rhythm. She worked by instinct, not noise. During the 1997 tapings, tension peaked. One scene kept breaking when Matthew kept tossing in jokes. After the 5th ruined take, Lisa quietly stepped off the set. Crew members remember the silence that followed. When she returned 20 minutes later, she didn't say a word. She just hit her line perfectly. That take aired on national TV. In a 2017 interview, she admitted, "I had days where I went home shaking. Comedy looks light, but it's heavy when you care." The men later said they admired her discipline. Still, resentment lingered. She was often the outlier in a show written for rapid-fire timing. The discomfort never fully faded. It followed her through late seasons, especially when chemistry between two co-stars turned into something else. A storyline that blurred fiction and tension on and off camera. What really happened when scripted romance turned into real awkwardness? The answer came during one unforgettable season. In 2003, when writers paired Rachel and Joey romantically, fans were divided. Some loved the twist, others hated it. But behind the scenes, Jennifer Aniston and Matt LeBlanc were the ones feeling the strain. Their friendship had always been easy. Until those scenes started to feel too personal, crew members noticed something off. The energy between them changed. Jennifer once told producers she didn't want to force it anymore. One assistant recalled her saying, "This feels wrong, we're acting friends, not lovers." Matt took it personally. From then, they avoided private rehearsals. During one taping, a kissing scene took 6 takes, longer than usual. Between each one, Matt stayed distant. The laughter from the audience felt heavier than usual that night. Even director Kevin Bright later said, "They were professional, but it wasn't easy." That storyline ended quickly, and so did their offset connection for a while. They kept things polite, but something between them cooled for good. Years later, Matt joked that he and Jennifer didn't need to rehearse chemistry. We had to rehearse avoiding it. That chill spread beyond the romance arc because soon after, another storm brewed, one involving Courtney, creative control, and rumors that reached the press. And those rumors? They began with a single leaked note from the writer's room. By season 6, Courtney Cox had earned her place as the show's structure, precise, organized, driven. But those same traits drew whispers. Writers started calling her the director without a credit. She reviewed lines, suggested rewrites, and once requested a full reshoot because she felt Monica's reaction didn't track. At first, producers loved her focus. Then it crossed into conflict. A leaked story in 2000 described her as intense and perfectionist, which tabloids twisted into diva. That word stuck for years. Insiders said she only wanted Monica treated seriously, but pressure turned her reputation sour. Scripts were often adjusted late at night because Courtney pushed for realism. One crew member recalled her saying, "If the audience doesn't believe it, I don't want it." But tension with writers peaked when she requested more storylines focused on Monica and Chandler instead of Rachel. The writers pushed back. For weeks, the air in the room stayed tense. By season 8, every headline labeled her hard to please. Yet, when fans voted Monica and Chandler's wedding the show's best moment, the irony couldn't be missed. The diva had fought for that episode to happen. Still, while Courtney battled writers, another struggle quietly tore through the cast, one that had nothing to do with ego and everything to do with survival. It started when Matthew Perry began missing days no one could explain. Between 1998 and 2001, Matthew Perry's addiction changed the rhythm of the entire show. It began with painkillers after a jet ski accident, then escalated into dependence. He later admitted he barely remembered filming 3 seasons. Fans noticed his weight changes, his nervous movements, his blank stares. Behind the laughter, everyone worried. Jennifer Aniston reportedly confronted him privately. She told him, "We can see it. You're not hiding it." He thanked her but never promised to stop. The producers covered for him, rearranging schedules and using body doubles for certain transitions. By season 7, rumors filled every magazine rack in Los Angeles. David Schwimmer tried to help quietly, checking on him after tapings. Courtney handled it differently. She kept things professional, avoided confrontation. "We didn't know how to fix him," one crew member said. "We were scared we'd lose him." Matthew entered rehab in 1997, again in 2001. He told people later, "They cared, but they were tired." The honesty hit hard. That period left cracks in every friendship on set. They kept working, but something pure was gone. And while he tried to recover, another cast member began slipping away emotionally, someone who once kept everyone together but started fading right when the group needed him most. What made him retreat from the family that made him famous? The answer surfaced years later after a painful divorce and a few ignored calls. By 2007, Friends had been off the air for 3 years, but the cast still carried its weight. David Schwimmer, once the steady one, started pulling away. His divorce from British artist Zoe Buckman hit hard. Friends noticed the shift immediately. The man who used to organize group dinners stopped replying to messages. Courtney said once, "We all go through things," but David shut down. Even their group chat went quiet. He skipped reunions, birthdays, little things that once kept them connected. When Jennifer reached out, sources said he thanked her politely but never followed up. By 2009, it felt like he had disappeared into work, directing Run, Fat Boy, Run in London instead of staying close to Los Angeles. He later explained in interviews that fame drained him, that he needed space. But his absence created something else, distance that no one addressed. The cast grew used to his silence, the way grief becomes background noise. And yet, he wasn't the only one who nearly left. Around the same time, another core member secretly told producers she wanted out. For reasons that went beyond exhaustion, she said she felt left out. But what really drove her close to quitting might surprise you. In 2003, just before the final season started, Lisa Kudrow shocked producers with a private confession. She was considering leaving Friends. After 9 years of laughter, fame, and millions per episode, she told them, "It doesn't feel equal anymore." The decision came quietly. During contract negotiations, she'd noticed subtle divides. Jennifer and Courtney often spoke directly with writers. Lisa, though loved, felt detached from key creative talks. She told the team she wanted fresh air, a break from the same rhythm, the same jokes. Producers panicked. They offered her the same salary as the others, $1 million per episode. That offer convinced her to stay, but not entirely happy. She later said in 2011, "I was proud of what we did, but it didn't always feel balanced." Behind that smile, she carried real fatigue. By season 10, she filmed each scene with quiet gratitude, but also an invisible countdown. Crew members said she cried after the final shoot. Not from joy, but relief. Her departure talks might have stayed buried, but 2 decades later, new tensions surfaced again. Live, unscripted, and caught on camera. Because in 2021, when the reunion happened, everyone saw what years apart had done to them. The Friends reunion in 2021 looked like a dream for fans, but backstage, the mood was heavy. They hadn't been together like this in 17 years. Cameras caught smiles, reality caught stiffness. Lisa's laugh felt forced. Courtney looked nervous. Matthew seemed withdrawn, his speech slightly slurred. Fans online noticed immediately. Behind the scenes, crew members described an odd chill. They hugged for the cameras, not each other, one insider told Closer Weekly. David tried to break the tension with jokes, but silence often followed. Years of distance had turned nostalgia into discomfort. When they walked through the recreated apartment set, there were tears, yes. But not all from joy. Jennifer's eyes glossed over when she saw the couch. Later, she said softly, "It's like seeing ghosts." After the reunion aired, social media buzzed about what fans called the fake smiles. But those who knew the cast said it wasn't fake. It was grief. And even after all that time, there was still one subject they all avoided. The one person who had carried both admiration and resentment for years. Every group has one, and this one was no different. Every long-running show has a star who shines too bright. On Friends, insiders say that person became Jennifer Aniston. Her fame exploded beyond the series, movies, endorsements, constant interviews. While the others were known as part of an ensemble, Jennifer became a global brand. By season 9, tabloids labeled the show Aniston's Empire. Crew members remember the subtle resentment, rewrites adjusted for her storylines, promotional focus revolving around her, directors prioritizing her angles. One insider said bluntly, "She was loved by fans but exhausting to please." There were moments of open frustration. Courtney once snapped, "It's a 6-person show." After a magazine spread featured only Jennifer Still, no one could deny her professionalism. She was never late, always prepared, but deeply protective of her image. Years later, Jennifer reflected on it differently. "I cared too much about being perfect," she said in a 2018 interview. That honesty softened old judgments. They had all changed. Yet even then, one truth remained unspoken. Fame gave them everything, but cost them closeness. And behind that final curtain, the real truth about what fame did to their friendship still waited to be said aloud. After all the interviews, reunions, and years of polished nostalgia, one truth still sits under the surface. They loved each other deeply, but fame burned them from the inside out. For 10 years, they lived inside a bubble of studio lights, 22-minute scripts, and million-dollar contracts. Every emotion, real or fake, became public property. Once Friends ended in 2004, reality came rushing back. There were no more table reads, no more laughter cues, and without the rhythm of that world, their bond started to fade. Jennifer once said in a 2021 interview, "We were family then, but life moves differently now." The others said similar things in their own quiet way. They text occasionally, meet rarely, and still call each other family in press tours. But the weight behind that word changed long ago. One insider summed it up perfectly. They were drained by love, but tied by legacy. Every rerun reminds them who they were and what they lost staying that way. Because when a show becomes a global phenomenon, Friendship turns into history. And in Hollywood, history always finds a way to repeat, even with another cast once called The Next Friends. Behind every laugh track hides a grudge, a glance, and a truth never meant for fans.